Yes, what is up everybody? The JayBlastNetwork is back in session. Guys, I'm sorry for being away for so long. I had to go through a massive surgery, an emergency surgery during the time between now and the last video, and I had to recover from it, and that's why I haven't uploaded anything. I also tried to work on a very long video, which is the Final Fantasy VIII video. It's not super long in terms of like 5 hours or anything like that, but it's gonna be a long video right after that, and it's been taking so long to make that, and that's why I haven't uploaded in a long time. But I want to apologize for the time that it's been taking. In October of last year, at the end of October, something happened and I had to have emergency surgery. Now the surgery that I was having or going to have already was already going to happen in December, but something happened to kind of speed that up and I had to go to the hospital. I'm okay now. I'll just tell you what it is. What I had to go through was a urethroplasty. Now you can look up why urethroplasty occurs. I'm not going to say it on YouTube because it's kind of sensitive information, and also because of where the area is at, I feel like YouTube's going to take me down if I talk about it even more, but you can look it up. Be warned, it is pretty gruesome, but I am okay now. It just took a while to recover. I had to have an emergency surgery to find a way to deal with it until I had the actual surgery. Then I had the actual surgery and that took a while to recover from, and I had to have a catheter and all this stuff. It was a pain to deal with, but now it's over. When I got done with the surgery, I started to work on the Final Fantasy VIII video. I tried to work on it during my recovery time, but I was in so much pain, guys, thanks to that catheter. I couldn't really focus. But as I was writing the FF8 video, which at that point I was still writing for it, I'm still rewriting certain things for it, I just didn't like the product that I was making, and so I'm making adjustments to it. However, what I have decided to do, because I still want to bring out consistent content to you guys, is I have decided to work on smaller videos while working on big videos. And I think the best strategy right now is to work on a big chunk of a bigger video while I work on these smaller videos, get them out so you guys have content, and then the big video can drop and everybody can, watch that. I know everybody doesn't want to watch a super long video all the time, but I do appreciate those who do, and I do want to make both long form and shorter form content on games that are long, games that are short, so we can cover pretty much everything. I have a new motto. I want to be the Ben 10 of retro game channels. What I mean by that, you know how Ben 10 is like 10 aliens, he can transform into all different species. I want to be like that, but at a point he ends up getting more than 10 aliens. He gets a lot of aliens. So I want that to be with how I am with games, where I cover multiple games and multiple genres: platformers, sports games, racing games, shooters, puzzle games, arcade style games, RPGs, pretty much everything you can think of I want to cover on this channel, because one of the things I noticed on YouTube is a lot of people don't really cover everything, or they only cover certain series. I want to cover so much that people can come to my channel for stuff they already know about and stuff they don't know about. And I gotta thank you guys throughout this whole time. I want to thank some of the people who shouted out my channel. Well, there was one person I know in particular, and that was the Pickin' Preacher. I appreciate you doing that. I have not been on YouTube because of this situation, and I know we were supposed to collab, and that's why I haven't hit you up or responded, or if you send anything, I'm going to respond to that stuff. So if you still want to collab, I'm still down. I just had to take care of some things. And also the Rushmore show, I remember you guys reached out to me too. I'm also still down to collab. I just had to take care of some, I just had to make sure I recover from this properly so I can keep making videos like I am today. I also want to thank the people who are constantly subscribing. I have had so many extra subscribers show up during this break, and I have been surprised. Many of my videos are starting to really pop off on YouTube, and a bunch of people are starting to find out in the comments. They're saying, hey, I love this content. Glad you made a video like this, especially when it comes to the Grandia video and the Tony Hawk video. And I can't say how much I appreciate that, especially on the Grandia video. Guys, those RPG videos, they take up a lot of time and a lot of thought, and I try to make them where they're very entertaining. They tell the story, but I don't want to just be a complete story recap, but I also explain some of the game design and some of the ways the game works on the way it doesn't. I want it to be a sort of a mix between a retrospective, a review, and a documentary at the same time when it comes to what is in the game. And I'm very glad that those efforts are finally paying off. I really appreciate it. And the great thing is we're almost to 400 subscribers, which means we're almost to 500 subscribers, which means we're getting closer to 1,000 subscribers. And I can't thank you guys enough for continuing with me on this journey and sticking with the channel even when it was in a down period like this. YouTube is like TV now. People kind of just watch it. They work, they watch it when they get home, they watch it everywhere. But the difference between TV and YouTube is that a show will usually get split off into seasons. You'll wait a year or 2 years to watch the next season of that show. show. Meanwhile, YouTubers have to constantly put out content over and over again. I know that's just how the game is. You know, I can't really change that. But I will say sometimes people do need breaks for whatever reason. This was just a big reason to take a break. And I hate that that happened because I'm behind on the videos I want to put out. I wanted to put out a Halloween special. I wanted to put out a Christmas special. I want to put out different holiday specials for the channel. Valentine's Day, Christmas, Halloween, 4th of July, things like that, so that we can have games that sort of match that holiday theming or just reminiscent from that holiday, even if they aren't exactly supposed to be a game based around that holiday. Like the Parappa video I made, I called it Parappa the Rapper's Christmas game only because it came out on Christmas, and it does remind me of the times that I had with it on Christmas. But outside of that, it's not really a Christmas game, but it has the vibes of that for me at least, and that's why I made it that way. But I still want to make those specials, and I am behind on content, so you're going to be getting content that was meant for season 3 in season 4. I wasn't going to drop the Final Fantasy VIII video, wrap up season 3, and then move on to season 4, but I'm just going to make it season 4, guys. It's taking too long. And right now I'm working on 2 other games. I'll tell you one of them I'm working on, that's Crazy Taxi, that will come out before Final Fantasy VIII comes out, and I'll be able to complete Final Fantasy VIII without the pressure of me having to rush to get the video out because I have no content out, if you get what I'm saying. That way it can be a great video and I don't have to worry about remastering it or doing it again, and you guys can enjoy it, because I don't want to put out content that people aren't going to enjoy or that isn't the best that I can do at the time, at least. So to state again, guys, thank you so much for sticking with the channel while I have been on this off period recovering from surgery, and now I plan to continue to bring new content on all types of games for you guys' entertainment. The next game I do want to cover is Crazy Taxi. Final Fantasy VIII will be out in the next 2 months at least. I can tell you the good thing is that the disc 1, or the portion for disc 1 of the video, is complete. So now we're on disc 2, and disc 3 and 4 are a lot shorter than those initial ones, but having to build that up from the first disc and the second disc is what is taking up a lot of the time. But once that is done, hey, it'll be out in no time, I promise you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the future content. Check out my older content too. I had the Fatal Fury video out in October. A lot of people didn't watch that video. I don't know if you guys know it didn't exist or YouTube didn't push it or whatever, but you guys should check that Fatal Fury video out if you want to see more fighting games covered on the channel. I do plan to cover those too, and just take a look at some of my older content because there's still plenty of content to look at. With that being said, guys, thank you once again. I appreciate it. This is the JayBlastNetwork signing out. You get ready for the next video because it's coming very, very soon. Yeah. Psych, that's not the end of the video because I actually have a preview of the Final Fantasy VIII video. Now, many things are going to change in the final version of this preview. I actually put this out to see what you guys think about it. So let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. And another last thing, retro discussions are going to be moved to live stream where I can actually have a live discussion with you guys while I play something cool in the background. I feel like that's going to have more interactivity than me just posting a random retro discussion in a video. Anyway, check out the preview. Thank you guys. Goodbye. In this world, those with the title of sorceress run mad with power, wiping out everything in their sight. But somehow, humanity was able to stop the sorceress this time, as it will be a title passed on through generation and generation. However, it was at the cost of their own generation, leaving those who would follow without parents to guide them. But those remaining were able to plant a seed, many seeds, that would sprout into mercenaries to take on the challenges that would threaten the world in the future. However, with the inevitable return of the sorceress, one can only ask, are the seeds ready to grow and accept their responsibility that's been forced onto them, or will they be compressed under the pressure of the limited time that they have? You're tuning in to the JayBlastNetwork. Oh yeah, welcome to the next level.
Vivos,
Oh yeah, you already know what it is, man. When FF7 dropped, it took the gaming world by storm, ripping and shredding through homes. It was almost like Final Fantasy was a new series, so of course a sequel would be hyped to hell and back. We wouldn't get a sequel for about 2 years. In that time, we got another Final Fantasy, though this time was a spin-off, a tactics-based game. Don't worry, I'll get a video on that later. But Square continued to be in its bag, releasing some of its most iconic pieces of software that generation. I'm talking about Parasite Eve, Brave Fencer Musashi, Xenogears, Bushido Blade, Guys, and the list goes on and on and on. However, one thing that was constant with the release of those games was the slow promotion of Final Fantasy VIII. Now, Final Fantasy VIII did start development back after Final Fantasy VII was completed. In fact, Final Fantasy VIII and IX started development at the same time. Sounds crazy, right, for how big those games were, but they did it by splitting up the development team in half. Most notably in FF8's case, Yoshinori Kitase and Tetsuya Nomura were on this team. But we can't forget the other developers like Kashije Nojima, Yusuke Noura, and Hiroyuki Ito, who would help shape the world and the characters that we see presented in the game today. And of course, help with the infamous battle system, more specifically the junction system. Now, what I'm about to say may sound like some ancient manuscript to some of you, but we used to have this thing called the demo disc, a disc filled with a game demo or other demos to promote other games, and FF8 got many, which helped get gamers into the newer Square titles and continue the hype cycle of Final Fantasy VIII. Hell, they even put Squall,
that's Leon.
Okay, bro. Leon or Squall, Lionheart, into games before he appeared in his own game, like for instance Chocobo Racing. Needless to say, the promotion was intense, and that wasn't even including the trailers of the new cinematics, which improved so much since the last game, and the character models too. Everything looked as if players were about to receive more of the same from the previous game, except better. However, when the game dropped, it was a different story, because you see, Final Fantasy VIII couldn't be more different from Final Fantasy VII. And I mean that, because as I mentioned before, the entire battle system changed. Oh, it's still turn-based, but now it's with a buttload of new mechanics. On top of that, the setting changed for the game completely, as now you're playing as a mercenary high school student, which had its own set of responsibilities, like taking tests, interacting with your schoolmates, and playing card games. Hey, I couldn't be the only one that thought of that with this. And that's where the divide comes in. Look, back then it seemed people liked it, but today you ask around, you're gonna see some people who love it and some people that hate it, which is really not uncommon in Final Fantasy discussion today, or a lot of game discussion today, but it is notable for the games that are more divisive. But I feel like 8 really stood out because up to that point, at least in the West, there wasn't really a bad Final Fantasy game, or I should say one that was considered bad by a large amount of the public. But was it truly that bad? Spoiler alert, I don't think so. And if I'm being honest, I just think many people don't really get this game because of its quirks, and yet those same quirks are the reason why it's so revered by those who love this game. Final Fantasy VIII takes on a more sci-fi approach in its fantasy, and I'm not just talking about the futuristic elements, I mean the elements in its story too, with events that transcend time and space, and it convey elements of traditional fantasy. And let's not forget the emphasis on love and romance that is pushed so hard throughout the game that it's even on the logo. Now, throwing all these elements together can be a little complicated at first, like looking at a long math problem that you don't even want to process because of how it looks, but it just takes time to unravel. And you know, mama used to say, take your time, young man, don't go rushing to get old. So if you take your time with it and watch the rest of this video, I think you'll start to understand how all these elements end up making a pretty radical Final Fantasy game and a pretty radical RPG overall. Hi, I'm Jay. You're tuning into the JayBlastNetwork, where we piece together the games left behind in the past that kicked ass, and this time we're dealing with the cycle of love and hate that surrounds the prolific Final Fantasy VIII.
Boom.